Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2013 premiere of Rock Weekly Sports Talk. I'm your host, Cameron Collins, and with me are our insightful analysts, Big Dave Miller and Ronaldo Cook-Martin. Let's get started. The NHL season is back in action after the lockout canceled the season's first 34 games. Now with a 48-game season already underway, there are a number of teams who will be making a push for this year's title. Dave, which team do you think will prevail as the 2013 Stanley Cup champions?
You've got to look at the Western Conference, and the team dominating right away, Chicago Blackhawks. 10-0-2. Corey Crawford at the goalie. Being a pretty amazing goalie right now, just being a stonewall at this point. Patrick Kane leading the way on the ice, and Marian Hossa, as much as I hate him for leaving Pittsburgh, still doing work out there. So that's my favorite in the Western Conference. And alongside with that, you always got to go with the Sharks, even though they blow it every year in the playoffs. They're always a favorite to at least try to make a run because they're going to make it every year. On the other side, I want to go with the hometown Pens, but this past weekend, losing 2 in a row to the Devils, an interdivision series, losing 2 in a row to a team that is pretty good this year, it's kind of pulling me away to not pick the Pens. The Rangers should be able to turn it on soon enough. The Flyers suck, so I like that. But I'm going to have to go with maybe the Devils. I just think their goaltending crew is too old to keep up for the entire year. Even though it's a shortened season, that might help them out. But I'll have to go with the young guns and the hometown boys and go with the Pens and having the Blackhawks beat them because the Blackhawks are unstoppable at this point. I don't see anybody going by them. And man, I'm just trying to think when they're going to finally lose in regulation.
Well, the funny thing about it is I don't know rat's baloney about hockey for obvious reasons. I know nothing. But I will be biased and go with the Penguins. Why? Because I think the Penguins are still the most talented overall team in hockey. I like the Pens and the Blackhawks in the Stanley Cup Finals. Why? Because like Dave said, Chicago just never loses. I don't know why. Is it going to be like 2010 all over again, Chicago fans? I don't know. Patrick Kane carrying the load, who knows? But I still like the Penguins because Sidney Crosby will be back healthy for full season. Malkin and company will come through. I like this team. They'll get things. Look, it's a 48-game season. It's not going to be pretty. You can't afford too many slides right now. But the Penguins will be fine. Yeah, they had a bump in the road, lost a couple of games to the Devils this week, but it's not the end of the world, okay? The Penguins will be the Stanley Cup champions. 4 years is too long in Penguin standards, okay? The Pens will be back, yes. That's right. I got my viewing fans out there that believe it. The Penguins will be the 2013 Stanley Cup champs. Book it, baby. Oh. Yes, the first book of the 2013.
Beat me too. I had an opportunity to do it.
Because you can't think quick enough.
I blew it.
I told you. Well, first of all, you got to be more aware.
You did book it when you said the Yankees were going to win the championship.
I didn't say that, okay? I said they will get to the World Series. There is a difference.
Then they didn't.
Well, fortunate circumstances prevailed that from happening, but no one's perfect, okay?
I think you're right there.
All right, moving on, guys. With the NBA season heading into the All-Star break this weekend, there are several teams that seem to stand out as being a serious championship contender. Ronaldo, who do you think is the best team in the NBA right now?
Best team in the NBA right now, is the OKC Thunder. Why? Because every time I see Oklahoma City, they got all their guys sitting on the bench in the fourth quarter because they're beating everybody up right now. Kevin Durant on pace for a 4th straight NBA scoring title, which hasn't been done since MJ back in the 90s. Russell Westbrook has been playing like a point guard for a change, not taking 49 shots a game. Kevin Martin, like I said, that Kevin Martin for James Martin trade, looking pretty good right now, okay? Serge Ibaka controlling the middle on the defensive side. Kendrick Perkins, yeah, he may be 63 years old, but he's still doing just enough to prevail his team. I like these guys. I like OKC. Plus, his team's on a mission right now. Lost in the finals last year against Miami, tough series. His team's motivated. They continue to get better year after year. Think about this. 3 years ago as an 8th seed, played against the Lakers in the first round, took them to 6 games. 2 years ago, went to the conference finals against Dallas, lost a tough one. Last year they got to the finals against Miami. This team's continuing to get better and better every year. Kevin Durant's leading the way, having an MVP caliber season. Russell Westbrook's having an all-star season. I like this team. I like this team going back to the finals. And I like OKC potentially winning a championship.
All right. Pretty solid argument there.
Oh, that's a
Please
good
talk some sense into the man.
Are you kidding me?
Right. Well, if we're going with the best team right now, I mean, I was going to say the Spurs until they ended their losing streak this past weekend against the Grizzlies.
I don't think the Spurs. It's the Spurs, okay?
I mean, well, they have like an 11-game winning streak. No one even knew about
Because
it.
it's the Spurs. They're so
They
boring.
play the greatest fundamental basketball in the world.
You remember the old
I
Spurs
saw it saying the
fundamental?
Spurs-
Because they were all born
Because
when
they're
basketball
boring.
was invented,
With like
Dave.
their 75 points per game average.
I said I'm not going to pick the Spurs because they ended their losing streak. Let me finish.
Fine, go ahead. Go ahead.
The best team right now, and with the best record as well, are the Miami Heat. 7-game winning streak. LeBron's always putting up numbers every game that he goes in there. I'm pretty sure there hasn't been a game where he's had under 20 points yet. So
Oh, that's false, by the way.
all right.
I do
Well,
have to correct you real quick. They have the best record in the East. The Spurs do have the best record in the league.
I mean, look at this team.
But
if you want to look at this team
they're
overall,
coasting. They're
they
on
just
cruise
got,
control.
Yeah, they got the Birdman. Well, they got like a 2 to 3 game lead over the Knicks in the conference, which I think will be good enough because I think they can beat the Knicks consistently, but like not all the time, obviously. But this Heat team, they proved what they could do last year as a dream team. But this dream team might become a dynasty in the future, and I'm looking forward, like we did for those like 3 years of seeing LA and Boston. I'm looking forward to seeing OKC and Miami in the finals again this year, and in the future as well. The Spurs are still fundamentally awesome, but then they kind of blow it in the playoffs because they're so old. The Lakers blew up this year. We'll talk about that later. And the Celtics are falling apart, even though they're on a great winning streak themselves without their greatest player, Rajon Rondo. So I just wanted to disagree with you. My team is the Heat. So I think the Heat are destined to get another championship this year against OKC again. But I wouldn't be surprised if OKC does beat Miami this year. If those two teams meet in the finals.
So you got Miami's the best team right now.
LeBron is the new Jordan.
No, he's not.
They're the new Bulls.
No, they're not.
Absolutely.
Okay, first of all, they're only going to be the new Bulls after win 6 titles in 8 years, which that's not going to happen.
Let's
Okay.
They've
just-
won one
let's
and
just-
two.
That's one.
just speculate.
1 and 2 years.
No,
That's
one
one.
year.
Okay.
No, they didn't win
Oh,
their first
it
year.
doesn't
They lost
matter.
to the
It
Mavs,
doesn't
and then
matter.
they won the next
They
year.
should have won against the Mavs, but they didn't. The Bulls never lost the finals. There's a big difference. Okay.
We'll see how
Oh.
the future turns out in like 8 years.
8 years when they win like maybe one
7
more title.
titles.
Say LeBron just broke franchise record, 3 straight 30-point or more games.
Well, yeah,
shot
because
over,
if you,
shot over 60%.
well,
in all
because
of
when
those
you're the
games.
Miami Heat, if you take out Dwayne Wade, what other franchise player did you have
Alonzo Mourning.
who didn't score 30 points a game?
I'm just saying the Heat are on cruise control right
Yeah,
now.
because
the only reason if they were playing 100%, they might have 10 losses. Might.
The one team I will say though that I still think can challenge Miami is still Chicago. Once Derrick Rose does come back, because of how well they played defensively.
Possibly, yeah.
Give you that.
With a healthy Derrick
Derrick
Rose,
Rose comes
they'll
back.
give them a challenge, but they're still not
Bulls'
going
defense
to.
is the key because I think they can match it with Miami with their defense.
See, I think the Pacers might also give them another scare, depending
Yeah.
on where they fall
I
in
don't think
that
the Pacers have
playoff
enough.
bracket.
Yeah, but I don't think Indiana's enough scoring to carry him for 7. As good as Indiana's defense is, I don't think they have enough scoring to carry him unless they get Danny Granger back.
Well, we'll see. We'll have to wait till end of the season and find out. So moving on.
OKC.
Speaking of the Heat, with their loss to the Heat yesterday, the Los Angeles Lakers' nightmare of a season continued as the team fell to 24-28. With only 30 games left in the season, the Lakers' playoff chances look all but over at this point. Dave, why have the Lakers played such terrible basketball this season, and can they still make the playoffs?
The reason they've played terrible basketball is because they have a coach that can't coach defense. His defense is score more than the other team, and just hopefully they don't make a basket. Another reason, when Steve Nash gets hurt, Pau Gasol gets hurt, Dwight Howard has a torn labrum but still plays, and he gets hurt again and still plays, and he gets hurt again and still plays. It almost doesn't make sense. There's no chemistry on this team. We thought going into the year that this team was going to gel right away with Mike Brown, and they might have been like an OKC or San Antonio at this point. But there has been no joint chemistry, which is a real factor in any sport, on any team, in any professional league. You need to be able to gel with your teammates, and that's something the Lakers can never do.
I think the injuries is the cause of that.
Yeah, well-
they haven't consistently been playing together.
Yeah,
So whenever one of your pieces is out, you're not going to learn to play together when, this guy's hurt for a month. He comes back. Well, now this guy's hurt for a month. So
Exactly.
it's hard to learn to play as a unit when your unit isn't there.
Yeah, and even if they do get healthy, I don't think they have the recovery speed to make the playoffs. Even though they are about 4 to 5 games out, I don't think they can overcome that in 30 games with Mike D'Antoni at coach at least. So maybe if they get a new coach and hopefully next year they don't have as many injuries, they can be back at their winning ways.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, the fact of the matter is the Lakers, of course, is this whole thing could have probably been helpfully resolved if they hired some guy named Phil Jackson back. Would have made life a lot easier. Now, look, Jim Buss, who's currently in charge of the Lakers, put egos aside. Look, I know you and Phil Jackson had your problems, okay? Deal with it, okay? I know you're probably even still bummed out the fact that Phil Jackson's been dating your sister for the last 14 years. Get over it, okay?
Dating or married?
Well, they're engaged, so yeah. But anyway, look, the fact of the matter is, okay, put egos aside, Phil Jackson winning the last 5 championships of Lakers. Let me repeat, the last 5 Laker titles have been with Phil Jackson as the head coach, okay? Mike D'Antoni thinks that defense is a disease, okay? He doesn't coach it. He doesn't preach it. He thinks it's like some kind of virus that would absolutely affect his team, okay? You can't play an up-tempo offense with 2 7-foot guys in your lineup. These guys are old. Nash is 40. Kobe's got 17 years. Dwight Howard's been in the league 9 years. He's considered an NBA veteran right now, okay? Meta World Peace. You got to check out his stability every 14 games or so. This team's not good enough right now. Pau Gasol can't stay healthy half the time, okay? Now, yes, injuries is a big part of the reason why they have not done that. I mean, this team they were 0-8 in the preseason. That should have been a warning sign from the get-go. Nash gets hurt the second game of the season, and that pretty much threw everything off, okay? The way I see it, but yes, in the end, I still think they will make the playoffs.
Ooh.
I still think they will. Probably as an 8 seed, most likely.
Yeah, could sneak in as the 8 seed.
Now, Michigan's going to get their butts kicked by OKC in the first round, but that's
Or
beside
San
the point.
Antonio.
Or San Antonio, or, but I still feel like this team, they can still make the playoffs. Defensively, they've played, somewhat better, but not great. I mean, if they could play Chicago Bulls defense, they probably would have won 8, 9 games in a row by now. But look, injuries have been a problem right now. Kobe and Dwight, I mean, there's just no love between the two, you know what I mean? No connection right now. Steve Nash, I don't know what he's doing right now. Nash is just in another world. Meta World Peace, he's still getting suspended off and all like he always does, throwing punches at guys, but that's who he is. Just can't wash off the malice of the palace anymore. See what happens when that sticks with you for the rest of your career. The way I look at it though right now is, look, the Lakers will still be fine. They'll make the playoffs, but to me, they completely threw the season away and decided, let's get Mike D'Antoni, because why? They thought he fits better with this team. It doesn't work with an up-tempo coach who plays no defense. Remember, Mike D'Antoni, defense wins championships. And that applies in every sport, not just in football.
And how many championships does he have?
None. And he's only got one play. He doesn't have that many playoff series to begin
Rest
with.
are cases.
Let me see. I mean, look, in Phoenix it worked. Nash, Stoudemire, Joe Johnson, they were younger. Doesn't work when you got a 40-year-old point guard. Yeah. Steve Nash ran his system. Steve Nash is 40.
I honestly think it's a surprise that they're not worse with Mike D'Antoni.
They should be
honestly,
worse. Look,
exactly.
Yeah.
I think Kobe has kept them from being, 15 and
This team had to
whatever.
come back from 20 points down just to beat the Bobcats.
Yeah.
Okay? The Bobcats. Okay? I mean, good Lord, it's Charlotte, okay? I can't remember the last time Charlotte's won 2 games in a row.
The beginning of the year.
Was it the beginning of the year? I can't remember that. Seriously. I'd love to know because, like I
They
said.
had a winning record.
Oh, that's right. They were
7-5.
7-5.
They had a winning record for the first.
And then they lost like
12
18
games.
And then they lost like 18 games in a row
And I got
afterwards.
sad again.
But that tells you something. They've lost to Charlotte. They blew a 13-point lead against Phoenix in the fourth quarter. You cannot lose to teams like that, especially this time of year when you're trying to basically have to win out. I mean, like I said, you're struggling against the good teams. That's obvious. But you cannot lose to the bad teams, or you're going to probably wound up like 8, 9 games under 500.
All right. Good discussion, fellas. And we'll be right back after this commercial break. Welcome back to Rock Weekly Sports Talk. We've got 3 more topics to get into, so let's get underway. For the 3rd straight season, Slippery Rock's men's basketball team has secured a playoff spot in the PSAC tournament. Ronaldo, how far do you think SRU can go once they head into postseason play in March?
I think they could go far. I mean, I don't know if they're actually going to win the PSAC. I think IEP is still right now the favorite right now. But I like where this team is going right now. I think a little bummer, obviously, losing to Mercyhurst, but nobody takes Mercyhurst seriously anymore, though. Obviously, I just look past them, though. But I think Slippery Rock, I mean, again, third straight year, I mean, that says something. Obviously, they're a more experienced team. I think they got a chance to maybe go all the way to the finals, potentially, for the PSAC tournament, where they might fall to IUP, I think. This team right now has gradually gotten better and better over the season, and I think that this is a team right now that really is kind of displaying a lot of confidence in their play right now. I like the mentality of this team, the focus of this team, playing, like I said, I think playing real together basketball. That team kind of basketball you need to play, obviously, this time of year. I expect them to finish these last couple of weeks of the regular season strong. So they're going to play IUP again, big test right there. They can win that game. I think they can really boost their confidence going into March. And I think, like I said, the great thing about March Madness is anything goes. Conference tournament and beyond. So, yes, championship for the PSAC tournament, but I think IUP will probably win overall still.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this team actually pulled out a PSAC championship.
You sure about that?
I mean, not a regular season championship. I think IUP's kind of got that locked up after the loss to Mercyhurst for Slippery Rock. But if you watch this team play, they out-rebound their opponents every game. They out-rebound them by more than 10 plus 14 on average. Their free throw shooting is amazing, 76%. And even one of the big men, Tabari Perry's the leading free throw shooter at 86%. So it just shows you the big men can make the free throw.
Not
They're not all Shaq.
Not
Yeah,
Shaq.
they're not all Shaq.
They're not all Shaq or
But-
Dwight Howard. I'll give him that.
But something that Slippery Rock needs to work on is their assist to turnover ratio. They're getting a lot more turnovers than they are assists. So when you create more turnovers, there's more second chance points for those other teams to get the breakaway points. And one more thing about this Slippery Rock team is their size and ability to just get up and block everything too. Not something you want to preach is blocking, but if you can get up there and get the clean block, then more power to you.
Anthony Davis player right there.
Darius Cook and Devin Taylor really need to lead the way on scoring every game that they play and not get into foul trouble. And with the point guard play by Aubin Reese and Sequin Davis and occasionally Bayardell, he's more of a shooting guard though, this team can gel together and get possibly a championship for the first time in a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if this team did it with all these seniors out there.
Well, I mean, like I said,
you can't count them out. With the powerhouse IUP.
Experience, like I said, is going to play a factor again. Third straight year in here. Like you said, now Devin Taylor's going to be key scoring the ball. One of the things I've always noticed about Slippery Rock in the past was turnovers was a big problem with them in losses. I've seen games when they've had 15, 20 turnover games and critical losses. Those are going to be the things they have to be able to cut down on if they're going to make a championship run, because you cannot give away possessions like that, especially in close games. Those are critical possessions, especially late in games. So if they can do that consistently enough, along with getting, obviously, I mean, if they can even balance scoring, like I said, not everybody's going to go out there. I mean, Devin Taylor doesn't have to go out there and score 25 points a game. Everybody gets a good chance, spread the ball around, everybody gets their point totals. This team can go far come March. So, I mean, they got a good chance.
One thing I want to add, from last year to this year, like I said, they're about 66% from the line. Up it up by 10%. They already got a better record than last year. So that's one key thing why I think they're a lot better.
Got to make free throws, people. Got to make free throws.
Charity stripe.
All right, moving on. Getting into some baseball now. The Seattle Mariners seemingly had a monster deal in place for their star pitcher Felix Hernandez, 7 years, $175 million. However, the deal is currently on hold because of concern of Hernandez's elbow. Dave, do you think the Mariners should still give their star ace the contract extension?
Yes, it's his first injury, and we don't even know how bad the injury is. I still think he can throw, but maybe not at full speed. I mean, elbow injuries are huge for pitchers. With Tommy John surgery, possibly, I don't think for this injury, with elbow tendonitis, these are injuries that have set pitchers back from their careers. I mean, look at Chris Carpenter. He has some nerve damage in his arm. He's probably going to retire now, being in for so long. But Hernandez has put up monster numbers, getting his first perfect game, getting over 1,600 innings pitched before turning 26, the fourth pitcher to do that. The last one, Dwight Gooden, to do that. It just shows you what kind of a beast this kid is, and he's basically the king of Seattle. That's why they call him King Felix. And with not of a solid batting lineup as you'd expect in Seattle, he basically runs the show down there. They were a hell of a good team going into the All-Star break. After that, it kind of faltered a little bit with the uprising of the A's, and the Rangers were good until about September, and the Angels were just consistently being average, but at least beating on the lower teams like they should. This Seattle team and this AL West is up for grabs still, except for the Astros. But it's maybe not this high of an extension, maybe not so much money, but he is, in my mind, top 3 pitcher in the league.
The guy won a Cy Young with 11, 12 wins.
And 10 losses, too.
Because he had no run support, but he still led the league in strikeouts, led the league in ERA.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if I'd give him that much money, especially with the elbow problems. This contract would make him the highest paid pitcher in history.
Ever, yeah.
So, I mean,
it's crazy.
But we're seeing, as the years go on, bigger and bigger contracts. When teams have more and more money, baseball doesn't have to worry about a salary cap. So, if that's who they want to invest the money in,
New York numbers there.
Well, like I said, it's Felix Hernandez. Who else in your team are you going to invest an extension in? Nobody on the look. Seattle's offense averages like 1.2 runs a game.
Yeah, they weren't
Something around there.
Okay, it seems like Felix Hernandez is basically got to throw a complete game to have a chance to win games. Okay, look, he is the face of. I don't think there's been a bigger name. I mean, there's only been a few big names in the history of that franchise: Ken Griffey Jr., Ichiro, and Felix, in my opinion.
Richie Sexton.
And you could throw Richie Sexton, and I guess you can maybe throw. You can maybe throw A-Rod in there. I mean, he had his years in the late '90s, but it was still Griffey was still there at the same time, so it's still junior. Look, Felix Hernandez has to carry that team. Like, they have no offense whatsoever in Seattle. Okay, I can't remember the last time they scored 5 runs in a game. If they score 3 runs in a game, that's like that's a shootout for them. Okay, they go score runs. Felix has to carry that team. He has to throw 8, 9 innings. Yes. When you throw that many innings, you're going to have elbow soreness. Yes, when you're throwing 120 pitches every time you're out there. Your arm's going to get sore. They're not going to go and be like Steven Strasburg and sit him out for the rest of the season if they had a chance to make the playoffs, okay? He's the guy. He's the ace. Give him the money. For some odd reason, Felix Hernandez wants to stay in Seattle. I don't know why. I mean, he could test the market in 2 years if he wanted to, but apparently he likes Seattle. Go figure.
If they were smart, they'd cut that payroll and invested in a lineup.
Well, I mean, look, the problem is, but
But here's the thing: if you have one great pitcher like that, though, that's 1 win out of every 5 games.
But there's nobody
That's the
in
thing.
Seattle. Nobody wants to go. This team averages like 90 losses a season. Okay. Remember, Mike Greenberg on Mike and Mike, he picked Seattle to go to the World Series. They lost 100 games that year. Okay. People thought Seattle has no expectations, okay?
But that's what I'm saying. They need to have that money to be able to invest in some hitters. They signed Jason Bay.
Well, they signed Jason Bay and Raul. They signed
Jason, you're desperate when you sign Jason
Bay and Raul Barnes went back to Seattle, okay?
Say what you want about Jason Bay. I have high hopes for him to kind of return to his numbers. Maybe like 260, 15 home runs, 70 RBI, something like that.
This franchise has not been in the playoffs in 12 years, okay? And there's a reason.
Still not as bad as the Pirates.
It's not bad as, don't get me wrong, yeah. But
I'm sorry.
Look, this is a team right now. Look, Felix Hernandez is the guy. Give him the money. Yeah, okay, look, if you want to structure it in some way as far as saying that, hey, if he has an elbow injury, if he has a Tommy John surgery, or if he has an injury that keeps him out for an extended period of time, yeah, you don't have to pay him that kind of money. But as far as this point goes, give him the money. He's earned it.
I think he deserves that type of contract. I just don't think it should come from Seattle.
Well, no, not Seattle, because first of all, I didn't think
he deserves that kind of money.
I didn't think Seattle
had
that
that
kind of money.
Smarter to use their money elsewhere.
I didn't know Seattle even had that kind of money to give.
They stole it from the Yankees.
They stole it from somebody because I
probably sold the Sky.
Look, they're in the AL West. Okay,
turned that into his
the thing about Seattle is they're always the 4th best team coming to that division every year because there's never any expectations out of that team. They have no offensive weapons.
They're not last this year if they finish 4th.
Well, yeah, that's the benefit of the Astros getting to the American League. And by the way, Houston, what a disastrous decision on your part going to the American League, okay?
Let's not talk about that.
I'm just saying, though. Minimum 40 wins, maybe, give or take, because you guys are going to get pounded in the end. Just being realistic.
All right, moving on. Now for our last topic of the night, the MLB season is a little less than 2 months away. There have been quite a few interesting free agency signings that have changed the fortune for some teams. Ronaldo, what do you think have been the best free agency signings?
Well, right now, obviously, I look at some of the. Well, I look at the team standpoints right now. Obviously, Toronto is pretty well known for what the moves they made. Atlanta, obviously, with the Upton brothers going there, dominating the outfield like they're going to. The marquee signing, obviously, Josh Hamilton going to the Angels. It's pretty obvious Texas wasn't any big motivation to bring him back right now. Now he's going out to Cali, Pujols, Trout, obviously in that offense. I'll tell you this right now: the expectations are so high with the Angels right now. If they don't even make the playoffs, Mike Scherzer is probably going to get fired. Let's be realistic.
If they can put a lineup together, they're the most dangerous team.
They are, but look, this team right now, Josh Hamilton is still a quality player. Now, he had a rough season towards the end of last season, but look, the whole Texas team fell apart last year. So, but because you're Josh Hamilton, a lot of that's going to be on your shoulders.
Pujols starts out the way he
Yeah,
can play.
I mean, look,
He started off slumping last year.
This team, right.
New city, adjusting.
Well, he's adjusted now, so there's no excuse for Albert right now. Okay,
kind of like the whole LeBron thing. He kind of was shaky. At the
well,
beginning,
the thing about Albert
Pujols
Pujols
is settled in now.
Well, at least Albert Pujols didn't hold a press conference and say he's taking his talents to California. But anyway.
Yeah, if they can put together a rotation,
they have a team like I said. Now Weaver's
that can hold
there.
the other team to three.
Weaver's
3-4
there right
runs.
now. Who else? Pitching wise, yeah. Could they get more pitchers? They could. Lineup wise, it's not an issue now because there's no excuses for their lineup right now.
Absolutely.
Because you're gonna have Pujols and Hamilton probably hitting back to back right now.
Trout leading off.
That's combined 65, 70 home runs, 200 RBI. Okay, and that's not counting Trout either, coming off a rookie season that he had. So, I think this move right now. And look, if I'm Josh Hamilton, you know what's so great about this move is that I get to go back and play Texas like 18 times next year, and I can just dominate you every game I play. And when I go back to Arlington and have like another 4 home run game like I did against Baltimore,
unless he keeps dropping fly balls,
he could. But yeah, when he goes back to Arlington for the first time, which I think might be the first weekend of the season actually, and has a 3 to 4 home run game, they're gonna say, "Wow, don't you guys wish you had me still?" Forget about it now. Like I said, the Rangers aren't going to be as good as they used to be right now because they lost key guys. Josh Hamilton to me was the best decision.
The Rangers are going to be at where they used to be, being one of the worst teams in the league.
Look, I don't expect them to drop off.
They don't have anyone.
Well, I don't expect them to drop off and lose. I don't expect them to drop off and lose 95 games, but
they probably won't even compete for the division
Yeah.
anymore.
look, I don't know. The Angels are going to be the favorite. Now, is Oakland going to have a repeat season they had last year? Are they going to get hot in September like they did last year? I don't know. That remains to be seen.
All right, but the best free agency signing in my mind has got to be the Braves snagging the Upton brothers. But what's better than 2 Uptons? 3 Uptons with Kate. But anyway, aside from that,
There we go. You just had it that under.
BJ Upton and Justin Upton will, I think, work tremendously in that outfield along with Jason Hayward. Yeah. They got probably one of the fastest defenses in the outfield this year, so you don't expect a lot of triples to be up against the Braves, which is with 1 out or 0 outs, and you get a possible triple and you can stop that, then it's going to be a lot of less runs for the other team against the Braves. The thing is, even with those signings, with Freddie Gonzalez here, I still don't think they're going to win the division.
Well,
I still think that's the best signing. That's the best thing they could have done.
Wait, Freddie Gonzalez isn't good enough to manage that team, you're saying?
Listen, no, yeah. He tried to take over for Bobby Cox, and look what happened there.
Look, if Bobby Cox decides, hey, I want to come back.
Oh, yeah, they'll win for sure.
Yeah.
They'll win for sure.
Who's going to beat the Braves out for that division, though?
The Nationals are still there.
They're going to have Strasburg for over 200-plus innings.
The Nationals are in the East.
Yes, they're the Braves.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Gio Gonzalez should maybe not have the year like he did last year, but pretty darn close.
Wait, are the Nationals actually going to let Strasburg pitch those the problem?
200-plus innings.
Oh, they're only going to do 200? They're going to let him pitch in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Are they?
Look up some articles.
Because if he pitches opening day and has the slightest bit of arm soreness, they're shutting him down to like August.
It's the only thing I don't like is Adam LaRoche. I don't think he can put up the same numbers like he did last year.
He's not.
30 home runs and 100 RBIs. Why couldn't he do that in Pittsburgh? Because we weren't winning. I think he just likes to do good for teams that are winning, like he did with the Braves, and now like he's doing with the Nationals. And I still think the Nationals will repeat as division champs in there.
So you don't think now with the Uptons?
It's the best thing that the Braves could have done.
The only problem with the Nationals, though, is they had their pitching last year. They had guys who were throwing out of their minds who normally don't pitch like that.
Exactly.
So, when you look at their rotation, though, really the only 2 consistent pitchers are Strasburg and Gonzalez.
Yeah.
So, unless those other 3 have another crazy breakout year and the offense is going off like last year and everyone stays healthy, I don't see them winning the division.
I love Ian Desmond and Danny Espinosa side by side at shortstop and second base, and Adam LaRoche. And He's a lot better than what he was in Pittsburgh and I think in Atlanta,
Well,
too.
absolutely.
But so he's at the peak of his career.
All I have to say is, book it. ATL, Braves win the NL East.
Can't wait to make fun of you
actually,
in, like, 8
That's
months.
I actually agree with
a
Ronaldo
legit
for once.
pick,
I
okay?
can't wait to make fun of you guys in 8 months.
sorry.
What do you mean make fun of me? Like I said, because it's a fact.
Oh,
in
yeah, you
Atlanta.
won't be here, my
I won't
bad.
be here. Sorry, man. I can still Facebook you, though.
Yeah, that's true.
And just brag about it then.
All right, guys. Definitely a lot of interesting sports topics to kick off 2013. Well, for Dave Miller and Ronaldo Cook Martin, I'm Cameron Collins, and we'll see you next time.
Sultan.